it ended up, went up a road with two other guys, Peter McKillian, who's dead now, and Seamus Soul, and we ended up in Crumlin Road Jail, the Victorian Jail in Belfast, in the same cell.
So is that when you were sentenced to 12 years then?
No, I was on remand
Right.
from September to June 77.
Right.
We didn't recognise the court,
Right.
which was the thing then, we didn't recognise the court, and it was just a case you were taking up. The court, and they went through the whole case, and we didn't answer, we didn't have no solicitor, none, and I got sentenced to 12 years, which wasn't too bad.
Right, okay. So when you were sentenced to 12 years, you refused, like the rest of the political prisoners, to
Yeah.
wear the uniform.
Yes.
So that started the blanket protest. Is that right?
No, the blanket protest had begun at the time I came in.
Okay.
On June, September 1976, Kieran Nugent had been the first Republican prisoner to tell him that he wasn't wearing the prison uniform, and they beat him and they threw him in a cell and naked because they took his clothes.
Right.
And it was only a blanket, so we wrapped a blanket around him.
Right.
And that's how it began.
So as soon as you went, and then it was the blanket for you, you weren't wearing the uniform?
No.
Right. So in 1978, the dispute then escalated then to what is known as the Dirty Protest.
Well, we didn't call it the Dirty Protest.
What did you
We
call
called it the No Wash Protest.
Right, okay.
Yeah. You know, it was British media and stuff.
Aye.
And it was time, but we called it the No Wash Protest.
Right. So what escalated to the No Wash protest then? How did that come around?
Well, I came around because at the beginning we were in clean cells. We had furniture in the cells, and we would have went out and washed in the showers and washed ourselves and slopped out. That was the urine and stuff and and done that, but we're always getting bitten. So with the screws, when we were doing this,
every time you left yourselves, right? Okay.
So, by this time, Brendan Hughes, the Dark, had come on the protest. He had been on the cages. Brendan Hughes had political status, but he intervened when a screw was attacked. But he actually saved the screw, but he was charged, so he lost his political status and he ended up in the H blocks, which was a mistake for them and Slick, because he took over and he escalated. He decided, right, we're escalating the protest, him and Bobby Sands. So it was escalated, and during 1978 we were told to smash their furniture and wreck the cells.
Right.
Which we did, and we smashed the windows and everything else, which turned out to be a wee bit of a thing, because we had 78, the winter was the worst winter for years, which we call the winter of 78 to this day.
I read that.
When we were waking in the morning, there was covered in snow.
So how did you survive that?
Well, the way it was survived was there was two underneath the cell window, which was big bar pillars more than that. There was two big heavy pipes run up the length of the cell, right up all the cells, and the heating pipes, and only for the guys used to wrap themselves around with a blanket and stuff, and the only for the heating pipes, men would have died, froze to death.
This was just before, Dixie, this was just before the hunger strikes as well. So if you were being attacked by the, as you called them, screws, when you left your rooms, what about the food that you were being served? Was that something that you were afraid to eat, or was it something that...
It was the screws. Now, the thing was, during the protest, that the screws had what they called blanket orderlies. These was guys who would have been criminals, who would have been loyalists, and incredibly there was Republican prisoners amongst them, and they would have had a big cell out in what they called the circle, which was the administration part of the centre of the H block.
Yeah.
And they would have had the cell, they would have had the TV, they would have had all privileges and stuff like this. And as I say, they would have come round with the food and stuff.
Right.
Accompanied by a screw, opening the cell door, handing the food and stuff like that. And we knew they were stealing food. But there was occasions when you would have had plastic mugs, you know, everything was plastic and stuff like that. We knew when you tasted the tea that they had urinated on it because there was a salty taste. You know, and that was the fact of you had to, you know, every time before you drank the tea and stuff, you had to do it. And it was these blanket orderlies.
Aye.
There was one guy from Derry, and he had the habit of sticking hoses and all on the window and hosing us down, those broken windows, and hosing us down. And he later, when he got out of it, he changed his religion, moved to Belfast, and he later, no, we never heard of him again. But I wouldn't name him because he would have family still in Derry, and it wouldn't be right.
No, that's.
But he's well known, but he was notoriously the worst blanket orderly.
Right. Okay.
You know, believe it or not, and he went on as an IRA man.
Around a week before Christmas '78.
Yeah.
You were force washed then. Is that what you're talking about there, or was this a separate incident?
Well, as I was saying, it was during that winter, the winter of '78, that I had been in the cell with Tom McElwee during '78. I had previously been in H5 when I refused to go on wear the prison uniform and on the blanket. I was in H5, and then I was moved to H4, still on the protest, and they put me in a cell with Tom McElwee. Tom had a tendency for punching screws and blanket men. He was a big blackie man, and he hated bullies. He was a great cellmate, and we got on great. And actually, when Tom went on hunger strike, he gave me his rosary beads, which I still have to this day.
Right.
Yeah. But he had this habit of punching screws and things. And as I say, we were in the cell together, and they had started what they called wing shifts, force washing. Whereas they would have got an empty wing and cleaned it by hosing it down, putting disinfectant and stuff, and then they would have moved a dirty wing across the circle. That's the bar and the thing, like, and that was always beatings. From the open your cell, they came in and beat you. They beat you across through the grills, and there would have been what we called a PO. They were the officers,
right,
overseeing all this. And when we got to the far side, they would have had a bath, and it would have been either, depending on how sick they were, it would have been either freezing cold or scalding hot. They threw you into the bath and scrubbed you with scrubbing brushes. And then they clipped your beard and your hair. Now they chopped it. It was left the hair sticking out and everything else. But when me and Tom got over that far, and I was sitting, there was plastic chairs, you know, like you would see in an office waiting room or something like that. I was sitting in one, there was a table between us, and Tom was on the other, and these screws was at us with the scissors. And the next thing I looked across and seen Tom, he rose up. And as I say, he was a big man and big fists, and he had a screw and put him on his back. And I knew right away, like, well, I'm going to might as well do the same because I'm going to get killed. So I had the screw that was trying to cut my hair. And then I don't remember the beating. I remember before and after. I don't remember the beating. But the next thing I remember was we were hauled out naked and thrown in a van, the back of a van, and taken off to what we called the boards, which was the punishment block.
Right.
The boards was had a concrete bed. They had a heater on the ceiling, and as we know, heat rises. And at night you were given a mattress to put on top of the concrete bed, and you were put on a number 1 diet,
Right.
which was a starvation diet. In the morning you would have got dry bread and black tea. At dinner you would have got 1 potato and watery soup, and at night again you would have got dry bread and black tea. It was a starvation diet.
It was a form of punishment
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Was there any time, because that sounds horrific, and that's happening all day, every day to you during that time. Was there any time throughout that you thought that you couldn't or didn't want to continue this fight anymore?
No, I wouldn't have never left the protest. There was lads left the protest. You know, they were leaving in large numbers at one time. You know, but there was always about 300 men in the protest in the H blocks. Now there was also women in Armagh jail on the blanket protests.
That's right.
Like some Raid Farrell and all that, you know. We mustn't forget them.
No.
No, because Bobby Sands always remembered them. You know, and they were as part of us on a protest as we were. And actually, you know, they would have went on the first hunger strike and the late stages of it.
Right. There was a small joy that you speak about, and it doesn't even seem like a joy because it's so insignificant, but it was Christmas Eve when you were in H4.
Yes.
And one of the screws turned the radio up a wee bit.
That was the continuation of when we were on the boards, me and Big Tom. That happened a week before Christmas.
Right.
And on Christmas Eve they came and they gave us what they called an amnesty. You can go back to the blocks. So we went back, we were taken back to the H blocks, and as we were going up the wing, I of course was depressed and downright, but Big Tom was usually no confident in himself when he was banging on cell doors and shouting and stuff like that. And we were glad to see any type of food because we were starving and freezing. But at night the screws would have went off. No, out of the wings, went home, and there was only 1 screw left on the grills between 2 wings.
Right.
Like say A wing and C wing. And it was Christmas Eve. This was happening Christmas Eve, as I say. And I remember he turned the radio up full blast, and it was Mary's Boy Child. And we found out that was the number 1 that year, Boney M. He turned it up full blast for a couple of seconds, then he turned it off. And we knew he was reminding us it was Christmas Eve. So we got up, both wings got up, and we got the doors and we sang. And we sang right through the night to Christmas Day, don't know what time. But the fact of the matter was, the screws, when they're on that there, they would have had a sleep and they wouldn't have got sleeping. Because not only were we singing, we were banging on the doors. So they teach them, like, you know, that doesn't annoy us.
Right, okay. So you think he done that? They
Of course he did. They let us know it was Christmas Eve.